I am not teaching, I am publicly learning. Hi and welcome to Learning for the Life in UK test part 471. While doing morning stretching, and if you participate in the morning stretching, that is at your own risk. In the last video we already prepared to know everything perfectly about the Industrial Revolution. Now we're going shortly about that again. So in the 18th century in Britain happened the Industrial Revolution, it was one of the first countries. And before that, most people were working in agriculture or producing things like cloths and lace and cottage industries. But now, many people from the country got into the towns and they worked there in fabrics. And the whole Industrial Revolution was possible through the use of steam power and use of machinery. Agriculture was mechanized. And the efficiency and the rate of production was further increased. Coal and raw materials were needed. And also the Bessemer process was done, removing carbon from iron and then adding it again to make it fit for the desired purpose. Manufacturing was the main source. Bessemer process for shipbuilding and railways made it possible. Richard Arkwright improved the carding machine, how the fibers are spun to yarn and fabric. Fibers are spread out. And to make it all possible, transportation ways were improved, especially in the middle of the working conditions were not so good. Children had also to work, sometimes even worse than the adults. Working conditions were often better than long hours to work and under dangerous situations. Also during the time the colonization happened, Britain gained control of Canada and also through the East India Company of large parts of India and also in South Africa colonies. James Cook mapped the coast of Australia. A lot of trading happened. Britain imported sugar and tobacco from North America and West Indies, and also textiles, so they imported also textiles. Tea and spices, and these brought them under conflict with France. I don't think we have to include the slave trade for the Industrial Revolution. It happened independently. They of course had something to do with each other, but the Industrial Revolution would have happened without the slave trade, and probably the slave trade without the Industrial Revolution. I would say so. But I don't know exactly. We haven't written a lot to the beginning of the slave trade, just focus on the end and the part we prefer to talk about. Now, let's try it. There we have the one camera running for learning and the morning stretching, and then I'm going to start another one. And now I'm trying to explain in 1 minute down what we all learned about the Industrial Revolution. We have time actually for 5, 6, 7 takes. I'm not voice to do 5, 6, 7 takes. So let's start. In the 18th and 19th century, there was the Industrial Revolution in Britain. And in Britain, that was one of the first countries where this Industrial Revolution happened. Before the Industrial Revolution, most people were working in farming, in agriculture, and when producing something, that happened in so-called cottage industries. They were making the lace and cloth. Now, through the Industrial Revolution, many people left the countryside and went into the cities and worked there then in fabrics. And now manufacturing jobs became the main source of income and of employment. And all this manufacturing that needed a lot of coal and raw materials, and a lot of machines were developed. For example, Richard Arkwright made the carding machine. That is, he improved the way the fabric is spreaded so that it can be then made into yarn and fabric. And also the Bessemer process was made. The Bessemer process is removing carbon from iron and then adding the carbon again when it is done. And that gives then specific types of iron we actually want. So the Bessemer process was made, for example. And to make all this delivering of these goods which were manufactured possible, a lot of trading ways were made, especially in the middle and northern part of England. And also canals were built from the fabrics to the ports. And also during the time, the working conditions were good, and also children had to work, and also the adults had to work long hours and under dangerous situations. There were no rights or laws protecting the workers. In the time of the Industrial Revolution, the colonization in Britain happened, and Britain expanded its territory in Australia and Southern Africa and in large parts of India through the East India Trading Company. And this brought Britain oftentimes into conflict with France, who had the same interests in many areas. And James Cook, during the time, mapped also the coast of Australia. And that is according to the Life in the UK Test Handbook, page 35, 36 and 37. Now, it wasn't perfect, but I see that not completely straight down fact after fact as a great advantage for the people to listen to it, to understand it. I could just read the text here, but if I read the text, people will not understand it. They maybe understand, but not be able to remember it. Just a very broad idea, but I could just read the text, but I don't want that. So I think that was good. We actually have a little bit of time, but let's rest my voice. I'm going to stop the second camera. And we will start with the morning stretching. If you're just here for learning, you can go directly to the next part. Otherwise, if you participate in the morning stretching, that is at your own risk. We're starting with the mushroom. We're bringing one leg up and we're pointing the foot. Now the other leg up and point the foot. Next exercise is the trunk igniter. Next is anyway, but I forgot the official in the industry and the railway industry, but I said something about iron. And we go down. And breathe out. Again in. And out. Again in. And out. Again in. Out. Again in. And out. Again in. Out. One last round, breathe in. Out, breathe in. Lost the legs. The legs are standing a bit more and short before the apart. We're breathing in and lifting the arms up. And we're breathing out and going to one side. Now breathe in and out, rib cage. And again out. Again in. And out into the middle. Breathe again in. Out and over to one leg. Up to one side. Breathe in and out, rib cage. And again out. Again in. Out into the middle and feet arms down. Now, next exercise, no one sees the character. We're breathing in. And out, and one hand slides down the leg, and the other shoulder stays down. Breathing in. And out, we're taking one arm up. Breathe in and out, rib cage. And again out. Again in. Out into the middle. And breathe in. And out. The other hand slides down the other leg, and the upper shoulder stays down. Breathe again in. Out, we're taking one arm. Breathe in and out, rib cage. And again out. Breathe again in. And out in the final. Next exercise, no one sees the Acroptra. Feet are standing together. We're breathing in and lifting the arms up. And we're breathing out, and one hand comes down. We're breathing in and reaching to both ends. And the other again. Breathing in. Out, one hand down. Breathe in and reach. And out. Another round, breathe in. Out. Breathe in and reach. Again out. Again in. And out. And breathe in and reach. Out, arm up. And down. Next exercise, the Niagara Falls. The legs are standing wide apart. We're breathing in. And out, and we're hanging down. And we're only helping to come deeper down by breathing deep in through the nose into the chest. And by breathing out through the mouth. Again in. And out. And again in. And out. And again in. And out. And another time in. Out over to one leg. Breathe again in. And out. Again in. Out over to one leg. Breathe again in. And out. Again in. Out in the middle. Breathe again in. And out now, close the legs. And keep hanging down. And just breathe again in. And out. Again in. And out. The last time in. And out we come slowly with a round back up. Top the backwards shoulder. Closing exercise, legs are standing wide apart. We're breathing in. And out. Again in. Out. Again in. Out. Again in. Out. And the last round, breathe in. And again in. Out. Breathe in and close the legs. And out. Now before we're ending 1 and 3, I said East India Trading Company. It is East India Company. East India Company. Is there a West India Company? We might gonna do a part to it, not included in this series. So this is Ben. I thank you very much, and until next time.